Doing that. So my name's Andrew Toy. Thanks very much for inviting us to be here today. We're from a company called Enterproid. Our flagship product is called Divide. And as was said in the intro, we're focused on the bring your own device space, right? So our founders came from Morgan Stanley, where we ran application development and mobile security for the bank. And I'm sure I know people in the room here from Morgan. And when we were there, we were doing a lot of work on BlackBerries, and that was really the dominant device at that time. You would come in as an employee, and you would get a BlackBerry from your company, and that would be the best phone that you would probably use today. People were coming in with flip phones, or they're coming with feature phones, and the BlackBerry had data, and it had push email, and it had contacts and calendar, and that was fantastic for the time. Nowadays, though, in a post-iPhone world, with iPhone and with Android and with iPads and things, people are coming into companies and they're bringing in devices that they have already chosen for themselves for a variety of reasons. They said, you know what, I already have a smartphone. I have a data plan. I am very happy to still take a device from my company, and BlackBerries continue to be a very good device. However, this is not necessarily necessary in the same way as it used to be. So what we focused on is to say, in this new world where people aren't necessarily being given a fully managed, fully corporate liable, corporate owned device anymore, how are companies going to transition into a solution that enables them to basically take advantage of that trend? And we'll show you a demo, and I'll talk about exactly how we solve that problem. So my name's Andrew Toy, I'm the CEO. Alexander Truby and David Zhu are my co-founders. We all came out of Morgan Stanley, as I said. We are headquartered here in New York, where we also have a London office and a Hong Kong office. We're 65 people, just about 65 people globally right now. We've done a Series A and a seed round. We've raised about $13 million so far, and our investors include Google Ventures, Comcast Ventures, and Qualcomm Ventures. So a bunch of folks who are also very, very good partners for us in the mobile space. So the key thing that we realized when we were actually developing the solution is that a lot of people, it wasn't a really deep insight to say, hey, iPhone is going to be something that's popular. That's something that people are going to want to use in their personal lives and in their work lives. A lot of people went and said, well, based upon that, how are iPhones really going to enter into companies, into the enterprise? And who was the obvious comparison? The obvious comparison was the BlackBerry from RIM. So what a lot of companies went is to develop solutions that enable iPhones and Android devices to be treated like BlackBerries. It's all about management and policies and deploying extra security and letting the company control what the employee is doing on those devices. What we said, though, was this was going to be different, because on a BlackBerry, you don't mind giving control to your employer, because really all you're doing on that BlackBerry is work in the first place. You're doing your work, so hey, what's the big deal when you have to put in a passcode? Or your employer wants to wipe all the corporate data. It's their data anyway. But when you have a personal device, or when you have a device which is capable of much more than simply just work, then immediately the problem becomes broader. It doesn't become a problem of simply, how do I let IT manage this entire device? It becomes, how do I let IT get what they need, which is security and data loss prevention and a sense of security through management, without compromising the device and the experience of the individual on that device to the extent that it becomes virtually useless to the employee. So that's why we came up with the Divide solution. And why don't we just go ahead and do a demo for you right now. So Michael, if you want to come up and help run the demo. So what we have here is actually a phone which we're going to basically screencast to the actual device, to the actual screen here, so you guys can see what's going on. And so this is the device is locked. We can just simply unlock the device. As you can see, there's no screen lock on that device, right? Which is already breaking rule number 1 of IT, which is always put a screen lock around the entire device. So we don't do anything like that. And on this device, it has personal applications. It can sync to your personal Gmail, sync to your personal Twitter, whatever you like, actually, in terms of having your own personal life on there. And the reason we can do that is when you when you download the Divide application, you configure that for your work life. So why don't we go ahead and change and switch into Divide right now. And sorry, there's a little bit of delay, I think, in the screencast. But when we do that, now you have to put in a credential as enforced by your company before you can switch to the Divide environment. So why don't we go ahead and do that. And then what happens is you switch into a completely contained work mode, right? It has its own set of applications. If you want to go ahead, Michael, and click on the applications tray, you can see that it has its own corporate set of applications. And I assure you, it's much faster on the actual phone. This is just the screencast delay. But it has its full set of separate applications. It comes with email, contacts, calendar, a separate secure browser as well, all dedicated to the corporate environment. So everything here is under control of IT. You can have full management from the cloud. IT has full insight into reporting, but it's all contained within this work mode. And at any time, you can simply change that out into personal mode, if you want to go ahead and do that, and leave the work mode and back into personal mode, and then you can start doing your personal stuff again. So what we guarantee is for the employee, you're able to maintain privacy, you're able to maintain your freedom to do whatever you like, to control your own experience on the device. But for IT and the enterprise, they're able to control everything that's important to them. All of these applications are manageable. The encryption is done at a government grade level, so therefore all that data is safe. We manage all the encryption keys in a sort of industry standard way, which is separate from the way that the operating system manages keys, so there's protection even on jailbroken and rooted devices. In addition, within this container, enterprises can deploy their own HTML5 applications. They can also deploy their own native applications through our cloud system so that they can, if they've developed an internal application, say a cafeteria app, a corporate directory app, a CRM app, whatever they like, it can all be safely deployed and protected within the Divide environment. We're very proud of sort of like the technology we've developed here. We're it's a very deep technology going down to the core operating system tenets, because it's very important that all of these applications run as if they were in their own device, within their own operating system. But that way, if you accidentally download some malware on the personal side, there's no way for that malware to actually steal any data from corporate applications or compromise the corporate environment in any way. And basically, we give day zero protection from malware and from viruses in that way because of the approach we're taking. What we're also very proud of is that even though it does look like a virtualization technology here, this is not a hypervisor-based virtualization technology. It's much more lightweight, such that we're able to deploy this on top of any device. It doesn't require any shims to be preloaded with the device. It doesn't require any kernel modifications. All of this is downloadable and executable over the top by downloading the application. And it doesn't require us to even certify individual devices. While we're demonstrating here on a very clean Google Nexus device, this will also work on a Kindle Fire, for example, which is not even a Google flavor of Android, but will basically, still, you can switch from Amazon mode directly into work mode, and employees will have exactly the same experience as they would on any other device. So that's the core of our technology and our vision. Are there any questions I could take? Yes.
Yeah. Are there notifications from that work environment to your normal environment?
Sure. I don't know if we have any in here right now. I think this is one of our employee devices. Some SMS just came in. So I'm a bit embarrassed.
He's on our way to the meetup.
But basically, yes. So what we actually have is a very interesting concept called permeability, whereby an IT person can control how data flows between the two environments. So strictly, you never have your enterprise data inside the personal environment. However, you can have stuff go the other way if you want. So if you have an email waiting, all the notifications are just rolled up into a single notification that says, you have enterprise notifications waiting. If you switch into Divide mode, or into Divide, those will unroll into detailed notifications. You have a mail from so-and-so. You have 3 missed calls. If you change back to personal mode, those will collapse again into that single secure notification. Similarly, for permeability, on the work side, on the personal side, you only ever have your personal calendar. But on the work side, you can, if IT allows it, have an overlay of personal calendar and work calendar, because people obviously like to see all the calendar in one place. So we can move information back and forth between the boundary. Yes.
So how does it work with regards to deploying third-party apps?
Sure. So there's two ways. One is a lot of enterprises are moving towards write once, run anywhere, HTML5-based backed applications. And for that particular scenario, we have a secure browser that's basically we deploy ourselves with its own encrypted cookie store and session store and all that kind of stuff. So that's for HTML5. For native applications, we actually have a cloud management system. So no corporate data ever goes through our cloud, but our Divide endpoints are always connected to our cloud in an always-on fashion for management purposes. So what can happen is a company can say, deploy this application, it goes through our cloud, and it actually, at that point, we inject extra code and libraries to have it interface only with Divide, and when it arrives on the device, that application will only execute within the Divide environment and will only communicate with other Divide applications.
So would that work for an app downloaded from the App Store?
So we don't do it for the App Store. So basically our model is all applications. So if any application that IT has access to the binary for, basically it will work. So if they happen to have gotten it from the App Store, sure. But we don't, as a methodology, allow users to just get stuff from the App Store and put it in the container, because the container is completely under IT management. Yes.
So I noticed in Divide there's both the phone and the SMS pieces.
Yes.
Is that associated with your personal side, or does the SMS, for example, go into corporate, as far as like the archival and all that stuff? Is that associated with the IT world?
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. This gives me an excuse to talk about other technologies we have. So yes, absolutely. So what we can do is there is a separation in the beginning. So because most of the time there are a lot of work contacts through CRM or something like that within the Divide container, we have our own dialer and our own SMS in there for messaging directly there. Now, we also have a solution which we call an extension called Divide Voice. What that enables us to do is completely replace the way that the dialer actually functions and the SMS functions, so we can use alternative carry to the actual carrier itself. So we are able here today to enable you to power Divide with your actual desk phone's number. So when I make a phone call to someone from the personal side, it's using my AT&T number. That's my personal number. When I call somebody from Divide, it's using the exact same number as my Cisco desk phone, and actually that desk phone is also SMSable as my work number. So we're not trying to give somebody another mobile number, like a two-SIM solution. What we're trying to do is let you take your desk phone number with you and make that accessible from your mobile device at all times. And we're capable of doing that today. Yes.
How does one buy your service? Because is it the corporation that is interested in empowering the employees,
sure,
or is it the employees as they bring their own device that they push and say, "This is what I want"?
We love it both ways. So either way is fine by us. Our service is actually free for individuals to download. So what we charge for, so if someone just wants to have the container, you can get it. You can just download it right now from the app stores. What we charge for is to enable those Divide to be managed by the corporation. So if individuals, if you guys want to just download and use it, that's totally fine. If your companies wanted to bring all those Divide workspaces under central management, then we charge $5 per user per month is our service cost. So it's very affordable. Yes.
I see iOS coming soon.
Yes.
It seems like you're bumping up against some of the OS modules that Apple typically doesn't like to open up. So
sure,
what kind of issues have you had moving forward with the iOS version?
So it's a great point. Obviously, one of the benefits of Android is not only that it's itself open as a platform, but that there's no real restrictions on what you can do on it. It's anything you can imagine. So we have a very deep solution on Android. For iOS, we have the product's actually quite mature. It's been in beta, internal betas for a while. What we've done there is looked at the rules that Apple's put in very carefully, and we abide by all those rules. So we're not trying to skirt the edge of anything or break any rules. But for the most part, most of the core tenets of what we described today are available on the iOS product as well. So you would be able to have extra applications, you would be able to have a separate data store, our own encryption, all those kinds of things. There are some things, and maybe you're alluding to, around dial control and things, which are harder for us to do on iOS, but still doable.